Hello everyone, hope all of you are doing well. This is the first online class for class 10, subject history. We'll be talking about nationalism in Europe, that is the first chapter in your syllabus. I'll be doing the first part of the chapter. Now, what is nationalism? Nationalism is a sense of pride one feels for his or her own motherland or fatherland. Now, during the 19th century, nationalism emerged as a strong force in Europe and it made a very political change in European minds of the people. The result was that the emergence of nation states instead of empires. Well, we had the Roman Empire, we had the Byzantine Empire. Okay, so all these empires seemed to collapse and small nation states rose up from the ashes of these empires, which were seeped in nationalism, national pride. Now, a nation state, what is a nation state? A nation state was one in which the majority of its citizens and not only its rulers, all of the citizens, including the rulers, came to develop a sense of common identity and shared history and descent. That identity can be French identity, that identity can be German identity, that identity can be Spanish identity. So, all of these countries which we see right now, they all were nation states before they became full-fledged countries. So the emergence of nation states happened after the French Revolution, to be very specific. The first clear expression of nationalism came with the French Revolution. French Revolution was in 1789. As you would remember, France was a full-fledged territorial state in 1789 under the rule of an absolute monarch, Louis XVI. The political and constitutional changes that came after the French Revolution led to the transfer of sovereignty from the monarchy to a body of French citizens. So, from monarchy, France became governed by a series of or a set of common people. The revolution proclaimed that it was the people who would henceforth rule the country and shape the administration. For a number of changes to happen, France was in this situation, France was very much ready. Now, a number of changes happened. What were those changes? Number one, the idea of fatherland and citizenship emphasized the notion of a united community enjoying equal rights under the constitution. Number two, a new French flag was chosen, the tricolor, which we see in the present day, the France flag. That was chosen over the symbol of monarchy. Number three, the Estates General was elected by the body of an active number of citizens, and the Estates General were renamed as the National Assembly. Number four, a centralized administrative system was put in place and it formulated uniform law for all citizens within its territory. Number five, internal customs duty and dues were abolished and uniform system of weights and measures were adopted. And number six, regional dialects and languages were discouraged. Only the French language was encouraged as it was the spoken and written language in Paris. The French language became the common language of the nation state of France. Now, these changes happened very quickly, very rapidly. Now, when these news of these changes, news of these events in France reached the different cities of Europe outside France, students and other members of the educated middle class of those cities, those countries, they began setting up Jacobin clubs. Jacobin clubs are clubs or communities which were seeped in the ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity, borrowed from the French Revolution. Now, their activities, these students, these educated middle class people, they set up the Jacobin clubs. Their activities and campaigns prepared the way for the French army to come into Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, and much of Italy in the 1790, in the decade of 1790s. Now, with the outbreak of revolutionary wars, the French army began to carry the idea of nationalism outside France. So, and this French army was headed by Napoleon. Napoleon became the emperor. Now, Napoleon set about introducing many of these reforms which were there in France. He set to make reforms to the countries which came under his control as well. Though a return to monarchy had destroyed any chance of democracy in France, Napoleon had become an emperor. So, France had returned to being a monarchy. But in the administrative field, he brought in some revolutionary changes. Napoleon simplified administrative divisions. He abolished the feudal system and freed the peasants. Also, in the towns, guild restrictions were removed. Transport and communication systems were improved. However, all these changes had mixed reactions from the people, those who were outside France. So, how did they react? Initially, such as in Holland or Switzerland, the people reacted with joy. They welcomed the French army because they believed in the ideas of nationalism, they believed in the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. But this initial enthusiasm did not last very long. It became clear that the new administrative arrangements did not go hand in hand with political freedom. Now, in these areas which came under the control of Napoleon, increased taxation, censorship, forced conscription into the French armies all seemed to outweigh the advantages of the administrative changes. Increased taxation in these areas made people dissatisfied. The censorship of ideas, the censorship of free thinking, the censorship of free speech, that made people dissatisfied. Also, the thing which was going on is that young boys were forcefully drafted into the French army because Napoleon had this dream of conquering the whole of Europe and, if possible, the whole of the world. So, for that, he needed a very large army. So, forced conscriptions into the army, the French army, was being very much hated by the people of these new regions like Holland and Switzerland. All these seem to outweigh the advantages of the administrative changes. Okay, I am going to stop here. For the next class, we will discuss about the rise of the nation states. How did nation states in Europe got created? So, till then, bye.